How many of you have tried this in the last few months? Like, tried to actually say, no, let's go down a different path here, because it's just all getting a bit complicated. Like, most people do at some point. So what I wanted to do today, just briefly, before I got started on the real topic I wanted to talk about, is I wanted to warn you in advance that you will probably go through these cycles. And you will probably get to a point when you're in some dark emotions. You'll probably get to a point where you want to get out of those emotions, and you will possibly get to a point where you will want to do anything you can to get out of it. And you need to notice what's going on inside of you at that moment. Now, at that moment, the moment that you choose to get away from what I would call the divine truth, the truth about how the soul really works, you will actually at that moment also have the most amount of spirit influence trying to get you out of that place as well. Now, the reason why that's happening today is that there's a whole band of spirits in the first sphere of the spirit world. So those of you, how many haven't seen the introductory DVDs? Is there any who just haven't seen? Just a few of you? My suggestion is if you can watch those, you'll understand some of the things that I'm talking about. But in the first sphere of the spirit world, there is a whole huge band of spirits who want the earth to remain in its current condition or be in a worse condition.
Why?
The reason why is that they actually use people on earth to actually satisfy their own emotional injuries. Right? So let's say I'm a drunkard who's just passed into the spirit world. I can't get drink in the spirit world anymore, so what do I want? I want to go with a guy who I can connect to and overcloak in the material sense, get him to drink himself senseless, and that way I can have some of that feeling. Now, if I'm a guy who's just passed into the spirit world, and because I've been a bit of a dark in terms of my emotions, guy on earth with regard to the way I've treated women, I'm surrounded, instead of by all these lovely women that I'd like to have relationships with, I'm surrounded by all these men who are the same as me. So how would you feel if you were like that? So what does he do? He comes back to earth and he tries to find some men on earth that he can actually vicariously satisfy some of those sexual-based emotions that he's got going on. Now, if you multiply that by millions and millions and millions and millions of spirits, there are billions of spirits in this state, you can see how much influence there is on earth to do things negatively. Now, the only way they can manipulate you is for you to deny your emotions. Because if you accept all of your emotions, they can't manipulate them. So the problem is when you get into this state, you are actually, from that moment, allowing yourself now to be heavily manipulated, and you won't even probably notice it. Because you're in the anger, or you're in the fear, or you're in the doubt, or you're in whatever it is, the emotion you're in. And instead of owning it and experiencing it, what you're doing instead is denying it. And as soon as you deny it, that straight away leaves you open to manipulation. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.